Good evening. Welcome to this month's Town Administrators Report. And with me is our Town Administrator, Steve Mayo. Steve, welcome.
Thank you, David.
We've come to the mid-year.
Yeah.
Seems fast.
Yeah.
Seems fast. But we had some great activities since the last show. We had talked about the run-up to the Soldiers and Sailors Monument rededication, which occurred on May 31st.
Yeah, we beat the rain that day. It threatened all day, but did not deter us and did not come down. So it was great.
Barely.
Barely.
Barely. Started out bright sunshine.
Yes.
And then by afternoon it was gray and dank and kind of But
could have been worse.
it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a total rain out. But anyway, so we do have some photos from that. And there we go. One of the nice things was, instead of just being down at the Veterans Memorial Park on the Common, they also had the Historical Society Museum open in the old Little Red Schoolhouse.
Had that open, and probably we'll hit the Hartshorn House. And we also had a nice shuttle service that brought people around.
Yes.
Which really worked out well.
And actually, for anyone who's not been in the Historical Society Museum, that's one view of the main room, which had been the classroom at one time.
The classroom at one time.
Yep. And then the Hartshorn House, you know, they also had a nice program. They had docents telling some of the stories behind the house and the history.
Yeah, it was really wonderful to see a lot of townspeople and guests really enjoy themselves, and really, maybe hadn't been in the Hartshorn House before, hadn't been in the Little Red Schoolhouse, the Wakefield Museum before, and you come down for this event. Why not come down an hour early, and enjoy the circuit? So really, what was fabulous. I'm really happy that we pulled that together this way.
And both venues were very well attended. Yeah.
That on with the walking tour, the Civil War kind of Underground Railroad type of walking tour that was done at the same time.
Yep.
Which had about 80 people in it. So you had really a big number of people that enjoyed it downtown. Kudos to the town departments that pulled this off. Kudos to Bob Vincent, Town Councilor Vincent. This was really his vision, putting this together, and it really came together quite nicely. So.
Well, and the other highlight was on the Common, the Civil War reenactors, because the monument itself is to those in Wakefield who served in the Civil War, and more importantly, didn't come home.
And this group here came from Providence.
Yes, Providence Brigade Band.
And they were really very much in character the whole time, and they sounded great.
Yes.
And we really enjoyed them.
Yes.
A lot.
Well, and all the reenactors were very much in character during the course of the day. What was nice was actually seeing a band on the bandstand.
Yes. Yeah. The newly refurbished bandstand.
Yes,
great.
Especially after all the restoration. It's just beautiful, But we had encampments there of reenactors from different areas. We had a gunnery demonstration down by the lake.
Great shot there. Yeah.
Yep. And I was a little disappointed because by that time it was getting damp, and I think that normally what's fun is to see the flame come out of the of the barrel, but that didn't quite happen that time. But here's the monument now that it's been fully restored and just in beautiful shape.
Yeah, like I said in the show that we had before, is that very nerve-wracking when those statues came down and they're in bits and pieces. How they were up there, I don't even know.
Yeah.
The Restore and Daedalus, that company, it's a Watertown company, and they do restoration all over the country and all over the world. And what a fabulous job they did. They were leaving from this restoration to Washington, D.C. to do a restoration down there. So, but those came back so good and so well appointed. Really is, they seem like they're brand new.
Yes, yes, and it just, to see it in that shape once again is just fantastic. It really is, And for the rededication, the reenactors marched on to Veterans Memorial Park to be part, and that is an American flag from that period. A lot of people haven't seen that star pattern.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting. But as you mentioned before, Bob Vincent, former town councilor,
Yeah.
former human rights commissioner, really sort of chaired this and just brought it together beautifully.
And he wanted it to be interactive. He wanted it to be educational. He wanted to involve the young people, the students, and the scouts, and so really that all came together quite well, and just a fascinating ceremony.
Yeah, and Commander Shelby Nicotin, U.S. Navy, Wakefield resident, or Wakefield native, led the Pledge of Allegiance with students from St. Joseph's
School, yeah.
Yeah.
And others, but mainly St. Joseph's School students.
Yeah. And this was a lady, Adrienne Ordung, author of Be What Remains.
Yeah.
She was in costume to present a biography of Harriet Newell Flint, who donated the money to make the monument possible in the first place.
And quite a feat for Harriet Newell Flint had been widowed.
Yeah.
And she took over her husband's business, which at that time, having a woman run a business probably wasn't as prevalent as it is today.
Unheard of.
And donated, I think it was $10,000. It wasn't an awful lot at the time, but we didn't need a lot back then. And Adrian was really very touched that she was asked to read that biography there, because oftentimes, they're in the reenactors and they do their thing, but they're not really part of the ceremony. So she was actually loved being part of it. So it was really very interesting.
Well, and one of the other keynotes of the ceremony was the last remaining surviving Boy Scout troop in Wakefield, 701.
701,
which is also the oldest troop in Wakefield.
And also produces many Eagle Scouts.
Yes. More than the national average. But scouts from 701 put together a time capsule, which has been buried. And will
not buried yet.
Not buried yet?
Not buried yet. We're not going to tell you when it's buried or when it's going to be buried, but it's not buried yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it will be until the next 100 years has passed.
Well, not quite 100, but it'll be 70 plus until we hit that milestone. So, hopefully it's possible that some of the young people there could be there for the unveiling.
Absolutely.
I'd like to think that.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Those who saw this will also see that.
Possibly.
And the way life spans are going, that's entirely possible.
Exactly.
The other event happened the next day, and that was... nope, they're queuing it up for us.
Queuing it up.
Yep.
We don't really have to go to the next event.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes. There we go. Okay. And that was the next day, and that was the retirement party for the town administrator.
Yes.
At the AmeriCall Civic Center.
Right. I got to say that my staff, town council Carney, my wife Jean, and my boys, they did a fabulous job with that day. It was really nice.
They really did, and in this shot, the dapper gentleman right there in the center is your dad.
Yeah, my dad, Dr. Mayo. Yeah.
Yeah, who was my guidance counselor in junior high before he was Dr. Mayo.
Yeah.
And but everyone seemed to have a great time. There was a classical trio from the high school music department.
Loved it.
There was also a jazz combo.
They were fabulous.
Which provided really nice entertainment. People came and just had a blast. Yeah, they really did.
It was very nice of people to come out on a sunny Sunday afternoon. We haven't had many sunny Sunday afternoons lately, so I was very touched that people came in.
And Inspire Cafe provided the refreshments.
Yeah, what a great story the Inspire Cafe is, and I'm so happy and pleased for them. So happy that the town has stepped up to support them, and the town council used $150,000 worth of ARPA funds to help them outfit their location in Wakefield. So I think it was a great use of that federal money.
Yep.
and they really are fun to go. And if you want to get a coffee or a muffin, or they have sandwiches, and sit at the bench there and kind of watch Main Street on an afternoon or a morning, it's really kind of fun.
Yep. It's right there on the corner where the bread shop used to be.
Bread shop was Main and Richardson. Yeah.
Yep.
Really, really, you won't regret it.
Yep. Nope. It was fantastic. And then, of course, we had the speakers.
Yeah.
And
Carney.
John Carney was the master of ceremonies.
And some pictures, yeah.
Yeah. And the current chair of town council, Maureen. And of course, the high point was your wife,
my wife, Jean,
and
yeah.
2 of your 3 sons.
2 of my 3 sons. My third son couldn't make it up. He just has a newborn, but I imagine I'll hear from him at some point.
No doubt, no
Yeah.
doubt. But you know, it was great to hear them all.
Yeah,
You know, talk about you.
yeah. They're good
And
kids.
Afterwards, the chief and the deputy chief
Yeah.
showed up. You know, and the cake,
Yeah,
and just everybody had a
Yeah.
grand time.
yeah. It was a fun night, fun afternoon.
It was. Yep. Yep.
That little
And-
girl didn't like she liked. I think that's Morgan. I don't think she looked like she liked it that much, but dragged along someplace with her mother.
But
Oh,
now,
very
as,
nice of you guys to do that.
now as we're coming to the end of your 17 years
Mm.
as town administrator, what are your favorite reminiscences about this period?
You know, I got to say, made a lot of close, you know, people that were colleagues that have turned into close friends over the years. And I think that really what stands out is that, you know, 99.9% of everybody really works together to make, you know, whatever your interest is in the town better, whether it's the finances, or whether it's buildings, or whether it's roads, or what have you, whether it's social services. I've really enjoyed working so closely with my colleagues at Town Hall, and, you know, in the other departments. Our friendship has grown. We've done this for 17 years, David.
Yep.
I think you should keep going. You keep telling me you're not, but I think you should. Maybe we'll come back and do a podcast. I think one of my funniest memories, we'll look at some humorous ones, a lot of crazy comments from interested citizens over the years. They'll all be
Yes.
in my book.
Yes.
But I think that one of my favorite comments was when we tried to do call-in
Oh,
on
yes.
the show, and that didn't quite work
One
out.
time.
One time. And when the question came in, which I, got to think, it's like kind of town meeting. What kind of questions are you going to get? We got to be ready.
Exactly.
When the question came in about prostitution in Wakefield, that was like, well, we really we hadn't rehearsed that one beforehand. But that was funny. And but I think about what we've accomplished together.
Yeah.
As a community. Things that were very hard to get done, where people had to step up and open up their own pocketbook to do it because there was no other way to do it. We built a new middle school together. We're building a new high school together. We refurbished a little bit beforehand this time, but I was on the back end of it, I guess. Elementary schools together. We did a public safety building together, and I think we learned on the public safety building, the first rendition did not go through.
Right.
And we came up with a better product.
Right.
And went out again.
Although the delay did end up costing
The delay
town-
did, that's costing us money because of prices going up. But be that as it may, I'll look at the positives on that. I think it's really funny, some of the, items that some of the social items that we conquered or are addressing. You never conquer them. In the beginning was, looking that we do have a population that needs more social and mental health services. They can't be, we can't, quote unquote, the old thing, arrest yourself out of that situation.
Right.
And, so our police department, we did a lot of training, counselors in training. We have, social workers that are available to the Wakefield Police all the time. And when we brought that in early on, 2009, I'm not so sure the community thought that was what, some people didn't think that wasn't sure what we should be doing. And, that's not what policing is about, wasting money. And then it goes on to that, the police officers were trained, how much did that cost them? And then one of the comments was, I hear that Mayo bought them lobster rolls during the police officer's lunch. So in telling the police officers that, no, that never happened, I said, but just tell everybody it was surf and turf from now on, really. So I think that was kind of an interesting dynamic. I think what we have seen over the years is the rise of social media. And that cuts both ways. It is a good way to get out information. It's also a great way for others to get out misinformation. And that...
almost as a tidal wave sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that happens quite often, unfortunately. And I've noticed more so in the last few years, it's become much more caustic towards whatever is going on. And that's, that's the unfortunate side of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure in many instances whether social media really is of value because it's become so caustic and so negative.
Well, it does allow, excuse me, us to sometimes to get out information and to try to get ahead of the curve and to disquell some items. You take what happened a few years ago with the group that stopped on 128 and the rise of the Moors, whatever they were going to. We were allowed to contained that, and we were able to get out ahead of that by using not only our reverse 911 capabilities, but putting some stuff out on social media with one voice so people could also, people are in tuned on that. And hopefully that's, we have a number of, we call them advocates in the business. I've learned a little bit, tell my communications team, the advocates, and they will also kind of repost and spread out what you do.
Yeah.
And there's some great people that do that. But so I see that it's become very valuable. Unfortunately, sometimes it gets hijacked, but I think that's almost with anything.
Right. What, if anything, do you feel you're leaving undone?
Oh, I really wish that I had started kind of a internship type program with maybe high school and college kids. I think we could have done a lot more with that. It's kind of one of my big regrets. I will regret that I won't be around to see the grand opening of the high school, but I've asked to be invited back so I can stand in the back.
Well, I was going to say, it's not like you're leaving town.
No,
No. You just won't be one of the majors at the front of the line.
Exactly. I'm very happy to be right in the back. It'll be perfect. I am... I wish that I had set up a better structure managerially. I mean, I think that we tended to run things very lean, which I think was very good for the taxpayer and helped us through some tough times. But we probably should have had a little bit of a better and more robust management structure. And I think the new town administrator, and we're kind of going into that path anyway with an assistant town administrator and what have you. I wish that we had found a spot to put a new DPW barn. That's something that's on the horizon. I'm very happy with what we've done with police, with the community policing and things there.
That's been a huge change.
Huge change. I think fire department with having, the building that's going on in town and the high-rise building, having 11, firefighters on a shift is very important for the safety of the neighborhood, as well as the firefighters themselves. I wish we had a little bit better messaging on some of the developments in town, because I think that had we messaged that better, there wouldn't be quite the uproar over that, because there is a change. I mean, but I think we have to change to survive, as does every community. So I think that was difficult. You know, I'd say, but I'm very happy that we have great department heads and great town employees that really care. I mean, you just showed 2 days of very hectic events for the DPW staff, in particular, for police, for fire, for people, and yet they didn't miss a beat.
Right.
They were so helpful on the town event on Saturday,
Yep.
and the next day, a lot of those same people were there helping, set up for that other event. So I think that we've got a great crew, a great management, great people that are in the trenches. I guess, that's really good. I wish we had started the road bond program a little earlier. I would have liked to have tackled the roads a bit better, but it did come down to money to a certain extent. I guess I'm really sad that I haven't been able to break the Chapter 70 code and get us our fair share per student. But we've become more resilient because of that.
Right.
So,
But we've also seen in that time an explosion of residential development in town.
Yes.
Over that period. And, we have yet to see some of the other effects from that down the road, but, with all of the condo development and the development at the head of the lake and Audubon Road area, it's going to prove challenging to the town in some ways.
Everything's challenging in
Yeah.
some ways. I do think, though, that, over the next 10 years, we're going to see, because I still am here, we're going to see that downtown, revitalization, the Envision project, that will happen.
Hope so.
Well, that is on the tip list with the
Yeah,
state.
yeah.
Query, that's federal funds that come in that help out, so let's assume that keeps going, because it does create jobs and a lot of those things. That'll happen, and I think what we'll see with that kind of physical environment change downtown, and then with more people within walking distance to those businesses, and hopefully with the advent of a shuttle, kind of Wakefield shuttle service, I think you're going to see a very more robust downtown. A lot of the businesses there right now, whether they're restaurants or retail, they are already destination type places. People come to Sweet Bay because it is one of a kind items you can't get anywhere. I think people are coming to Indy Clover for the same reason. People come to Rada's. People come to the Merry Lion. People come to, what is that called? Francie's, I think. People come to Hart's Hardware for the service and what you can get there. Sorry if I left out any businesses. I'm trying not to. People come to the restaurants because they're all a little different, and they're not chains.
Right.
So you do get a different experience there. So I think you're going to see that hustling and bustling and, more of that going on downtown, which is going to help those businesses, which will help the economy, which will help pay for some of those other things.
Well, it would be nice
that will
to
come in.
see an energetic, active downtown. We're old enough to remember when it was like that, and when there was a local bus service, Hudson Bus, that provided transportation from different parts of the town, downtown and back.
Right. Like you, my wife grew up in Montrose. You spent some years in Montrose area yourself,
few,
and Hudson
yeah.
Bus was right there and
Yes.
took you right down to the
Yes.
downtown. Now none of the buses go to that area of town in Wakefield.
Well,
on
there are
Montrose.
no local bus
Yeah.
companies
But
anymore.
the
Hudson
MB
Bus
yeah.
was up on
Right.
Salem Street on the corner of Montrose
Right.
Ave.
But MBTA doesn't go there.
No,
No.
no.
So that, bringing the shuttle, kind of connecting those neighborhoods, and the explosion of sidewalks connecting for walkability, I think will help bring people down to not only a beautiful lake to spend but hopefully come down to some of the newish businesses as well. So I'm very bullish on what is going to happen in the future, and very happy that I was able to be lucky enough to play a small part of it, and really honored to have spent a lot of time here.
Lastly, what would be your major piece of advice to your successor? Now, the successor is probably, what, about a year away?
No, I think that applications through the recruitment firm are due by the end of June.
Okay,
I think that the screening committee will meet in July, send a minimum of 3 candidates forward to the town council. I think the town council will appoint someone, I would say, in early to mid-August.
mm-hmm,
And then hopefully someone, permanent would be on board September, October, figuring they need to wrap things up where they are
fast
now.
timetable.
Yeah. In the interim, Kevin Gill, our town accountant, we will serve together with him on the WCAT Advisory Committee. Very capable, extremely knowledgeable, particularly on finances, but knows about all the projects. Can certainly mind the store for
Right.
a few months.
Right,
So I think that will happen. But my advice would be to anybody who is really lucky enough to share this honor, to have this position, is to be yourself.
mm-hmm,
You cannot be anybody else. I mean, I followed a long time. Tommy Butler, a long time, great friend, great town administrator. I could not.
first town administrator.
First town administrator, yes.
Yeah.
Executive secretary before. He had his way of doing it. You have to be confident in yourself. You have your way of doing it.
Mhm.
So my advice would be, A, is to be yourself.
Mm-hmm,
B is that we are lucky to have great department heads. Let them do their job.
mm-hmm,
They will need your support. They'll need your guidance. They'll need assistance. They do not need to be micromanaged.
mm-hmm.
And I think, third is to trust your judgment. Take counsel, but trust your judgment, because at the end of the day, it's going to be your fault anyway.
Good, bad, or otherwise,
and
yes.
also work closely with both the town council, the finance committee, and the school committee and the school
Mhm,
department. I
mhm.
think part of our success has been those 3 boards in town have really worked well together over the last, decade plus.
Mm-hmm.
And that is part and parcel of our success. So,
As we draw this to a close, during the course of this series, where we began in Studio B,
right.
just
Yeah.
the 2 of us and the tech director, which is now the podcast studio, and since 2020, during COVID, when we moved here to Studio A, the production has morphed and changed as personnel and volunteers have come into and moved on from WCAT.
A lot of them to careers in media, which is fabulous. Yeah.
broadcasting, yeah. So with Executive Director Ian McDermott now helming the control room, let's bring in whoever's here today.
Oh, boy.
Who have been working on the production, so people can see them. Hopefully they'll come right in. Here they come.
There they come.
Yeah.
This double door has been been amazing for years.
But something, it does keep it. Come on over here behind me.
Yeah.
We want the audience to
see
see you.
Right.
These are the people you often don't get to see.
Yeah.
And
Kevin.
Kevin.
Okay, and how long have you been with CAT?
Almost a month.
Almost a
Kevin's
month.
new.
A newbie.
Yeah.
A newbie. And
Jonalyn.
Jonalyn, she's been with us for a little while,
Yeah, maybe 10 months?
maybe 10
10
months
months,
now, And then this strapping young lad here is my eldest grandson, Matthew Houghton, who is interested in a career in media. So he joined us as a tech director 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Well, I want to thank you guys, first of all, for all the hard work you do. Number 2, I want to thank you and all of the WCAT people behind the ears for using the skinny lens on me. I can't imagine how bad I'd look if you guys didn't do that, so thank you. Never go HD, if you're not HD now.
No.
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 Never go HD because it makes us all look bad. So, and great job. I really appreciate all of your hard work, and I know sometimes you're here until midnight at some of these meetings and banging your head against the wall. I can hear it, yeah.
But
Great job.
It's a great job. And You know, we hope that you, the audience, have found Town Administrator's Report a useful and informative source for the time we've been in production. We appreciate and thank you for watching. With that, for 16 and a half years, I have been closing each program with "See you next time." It seems wildly out of place here as we have come down to the series end. So I'm going to end this one. I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now, but I'm going to end this one with the catchphrase made famous by one of my journalist heroes, Edward R. Murrow. Good night and good luck.